just have to say, this is such an interesting spin on the traditional rom-com. And so, Allison, I want you to tell me what inspired you guys to kind of take this love triangle route, if you will, with this?
Sure. I mean, we were really inspired by all of our favorite rom-coms from the 80s and 90s. We wanted to tap into that nostalgia and play with the classic rom-com tropes. But then also, like, we were really fascinated by this idea of the one that got away and kind of wanted to debunk that myth a little bit, right? Like, why do so many of us suffer from sort of relationship amnesia? Like, there are clear reasons why you break up with a person. Then, the minute you get lonely, suddenly you miss them. They were perfect. The relationship was perfect. It was everything you ever wanted, which is kind of its own rom com trope. So, we just kind of wanted to, like, examine that and say, like, why does this happen? What's actually missing from a person's life when they think they're missing that X, you know?
Yeah, I definitely understand that. And Jay, in what ways does Sean teach us all that at the end of the day, the beautiful thing about life is that it never goes according to the plan?
Yeah, I mean, that's his whole thing. I think when you meet Sean, right, in his first conversation, in an early conversation with Allie, you kind of learn that he had this plan and that, like, he has achieved so many things that he wanted to achieve, and his life looks the way he wanted it to look. And then, obviously, like, after bumping into Allie, that all kind of gets thrown into a tailspin. And then all of a sudden, he's trying to figure out, like, did I make the right choices? Is this plan supposed to be like what I thought it was supposed to be? And to your point, like, I'm a big believer in, like, life is about the journey, not the destination. And I think, like, part of him understanding that Cassidy is the person that he's meant to be with and love and spend the rest of his life with is he needs to go through that, because he needs to understand how he has to, like, let go a little bit to let her have her life and let her do the things that she wants to do, and also realize that, like, she is her part of the plan means that, like, she gets to plan it as well. It's not just his plan anymore. So I think it was a fun thing to explore with Sean.
For sure. And then lastly, for you, Kiersey, to me, Cassidy represents that free, lighthearted part that lives within us all. So how would you say she provided that nudge to Allie to kind of look inward to discover who she really is, and how do you hope it does the same for those watching?
Ooh, I mean, I think for Allie, Cassidy reminds her of herself and not just who she used to be, but that person still exists inside of her. And it's kind of like reflecting on an old relationship and you start to fill it in, you're like fantasizing about it. And I think when she actually witnesses it and sees that person in front of her, it's easier to maybe grasp the reality of the situation, which is I do want to make these changes in my life. I feel like there's a second half of your question, but
Oh,
I
no.
love what I just said. I love what I said.
Listen, no, that was perfect. And then just lastly, tell me, all three of you, really quickly, what was your most memorable scene to shoot? Because, like, I know
Oh
which
my God,
scene
when
was
you're
my
freezing in the lake.
favorite.
Freezing in the lake,
Oh, I thought you
freezing
were
in the
gonna say
lake.
something
Oh, I thought you
different.
were gonna say streaking.
I thought she was too.
That's what I mean.
That was
That's
my
what I
favorite
was
scene.
streaking. I love streaking. I'll do it every day. Freezing
That
in
lake
the
Oh
was-
my
lake.
God.
yeah.
So
I'm
the
traumatized.
It's true. It's also funny that that was wasn't that your first day on set? That was like our first day with like
I
the
think
full
so. With the
cast
full
on set
cast.
was
Oh
when
my
we were
God.
like tubing down the river, and it was so cold.
Shout out to Haley.
So
Shout out to
Cold.
Haley.
Haley, who went fully in, all the rest of us were
Yeah.
trying to like lift our butts out of the water so that they wouldn't be
Yes.
in, and then we'd be like, okay, let's go.
It was so cold.
That was a
Well,
memorable day.
well, listen, I had no idea that it was freezing. I love the film,
Good.
and congratulations to all three of you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
When bringing this film to life, what inspired you to take that kind of unconventional route, if you will, to our beloved rom-coms?
Yes, so Allison and I, my wife, we adore romantic comedies. And so, the ones that we were really inspired by are the classics from the 80s and 90s. Pretty Woman, My Best Friend's Wedding, When Harry Met Sally, those types of films. And so we really wanted to kind of use what we know and love about the genre to try to kind of lead the audience down a certain path and then like try to pull the rug out from under them every step of the way. So hopefully you're surprised with every twist and turn. Um, and yeah, it was just like everything that I do, no matter what project I'm working on, my main intention is to at least attempt to bring something original and unique and something that people haven't seen before.
Yeah, and you definitely did that. And
Thank
so,
you.
in what ways do you hope that these characters will help any viewers who might have forgotten about that spark that lives within us all when it comes to living out our dreams?
Yeah, I mean, there's a big kind of theme in the movie about, reflecting on who you used to be compared to who you are now and how you feel about all of that. And if who you are now is not something that you're necessarily fully content with, like it's not too late to pivot and kind of get back on these paths to go after things that do make you happy. And like personally, I think about, moments in my career where I may have been just kind of holding on to everything a little too tight because I was maybe scared that it would all go away. And what happens is you stop taking risks and you almost forget why you got into it in the first place. And I think it's part of the reason I started directing. It was like I've wanted to direct for so long, but I was scared. And after a while, I was like, you know what? This is in me. I need to do this. And like, who cares? Like, who cares what everyone else thinks? Like, I gotta get this out of my system and I think I'm gonna enjoy it. And I just went after this thing that I was passionate about. And now I can say, like, these 2 times that I've directed, it's been some of the most enjoyable times I've ever had on set.
Yeah, and it definitely translates
Thank you.
on
Appreciate that.
screen. And then just like my last question for you is again full of uncertainties in this film, but what this is a love triangle like no other. But at the end of the day, each character needs one another.
Yeah.
Why would you say that is?
That's well put. Well, first off, like when you think about a normal love triangle in a movie, it's typically two people going after the same person, right? Two people going after one person. In this one, like all sides are going after each other. Like it goes all ways, which makes it super messy and kind of exciting and complicated. What was the initial question? I already
Oh
spun
yeah, but
myself out.
I was just asking if you could explain like how does each character need one another at the end of
Sure, sure. It's a little difficult to talk about without giving too much away,
Mhm.
but they they all just they make each other confront their flaws, they make each character makes the other ones kind of like look deep within themselves and realize like, oh, maybe I am a little selfish when I'm in relationships, or maybe I need to stand up for myself a little bit more and go and ask for what I need, and just all these things. And so in different ways with each character, they're just all making that come to the surface.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Dave. And again, great film. I loved it.
Really appreciate that. Thank you.